You are happy because they will pay for the mileage.
Thank you.
So you can go anywhere you see a bank shift and pick up the shift because you know they will pay for that. So it's easy for you to do bank shift in any of the custody suites.
Mm.
It's easy for you to do the extra shift, and then they will pay for the mileage for that. You get the bank payment as well for that. So there's opportunity for bank.
The house. I'm so elated to have you on the seat today. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Thank you so much for coming around. And can I appreciate you for the humility you've displayed in ensuring that you are able to come over and join in today's discussion. I can't quantify your passion and humility, respect for putting all those things in while I was struggling. Yet to even come over to you,
Mm,
you kept calling me. When times were delaying and we couldn't get a fixed time, you kept helping to put. I mean, let's look into another time. Let's look into another date. I can actually only appreciate you for all those beautiful outputs you have supporting me and all the other nurses back at home there. So, Oga Ade, welcome on
mm.
board. Tell us about you, please. We'll be very happy to meet you. Who are you? Your name? Where are you from professionally? Where are you? Where did you came from? What are you into? Because what you are into is actually the reasons we are here today.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. Yeah. My name is Adedapo Amo, but it's easier called Ade. Some
Okay.
say Dapo, so it depends on what you want.
How did we come across the
um,
name Rex?
my stage name when I
Oh,
was when I was in school, when I was vying for the post of non-sir president. So
uh,
I chose that name as a political name.
oh, which
So
university was that?
yeah, I'm a registered nurse midwife, and public health nurse. So I did my BSc in Nigeria. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Just wondering, registered
So
nurse
yeah,
midwife or registered nurse mid husband. Which one?
right. So in school they call us mid husband.
Oh, fine. That's much better. Yeah, go on. All right.
So yeah, and I did public health nursing as well. Then I had my BSc in Ladoke Akintola University of
Oh,
Technology,
Lautech.
Lautech, Oshogbo.
Yeah.
Although some say it's Ogbomoso now, but
Ogbomoso.
well, we had ours in Oshogbo. So
Okay.
right. So then I was vying for the post of the president. While I was still the class rep, I was the class rep for like 3 years. So I tried to be the president, but
So you were
I
actually
was
a seat tight class rep.
a still tight class rep, and
Oh,
then so I said, well, let me choose the name Rex. So that was where that name came from,
oh, all
and
right.
yeah.
Thank you so much. And your sojourn to nursing profession in the United Kingdom, how did this come about? How far
Right.
have you
So
found it?
right. So when we finished in school, then in Nigeria, I went to United Arab Emirates, where I worked as a nurse in Abu Dhabi.
Mm,
So yeah, I worked there for a few years
from
before
coast to
moving down to
coast.
from coast to coast before moving down to the United Kingdom. So I did my high health in Abu Dhabi and my CBT exam in Dubai before I moved down to United Kingdom. So I moved straight from Abu Dhabi to Maidstone in Kent
Mm-hmm.
when I
Yeah.
was working with Maidstone and Tunbridge Wells NHS.
Yeah.
So yeah, there I worked in the medical ward, acute medical unit. So and I did some bank shifts on A&E as well, and some agency shift in A&E. So that gave me that experience of acute medicine. So I worked there for a year and moved down to Sheffield Teaching Hospital. where I chose to work in the surgical unit. So I've got the experience in med-surg and continue doing the agency shifts on A&E. So that makes the acute experience to be, to be embedded in my regular ward, which is the surgical ward. So with the experience of the acute unit, it's not a prerequisite to this job. It's just adding to the experience, like working in an acute setting. So yeah, so that helped me and to gain some experience in acute settings, some experience in medical unit wards, some experience in surgical wards, and a very bit of experience in ICU. It's just for bank shifts, not permanent there. So that's that's just some of the experience I've got in the UK.
Thank you so much. Thank you so very much. So, this particular job that you are in, that you are doing, is the major reason we are here. So, what are you into? Forensic, nursing, HCPs, healthcare professionals? Can you elucidate
Yeah,
on those ones,
yeah.
please?
So right, I got tired of working in the hospital on the bedside. So I said, well, what change can I can I do to still remain in the profession and be relevant? So I went to LinkedIn and then I found this job on LinkedIn and applied. So it was one of the easiest job application because I just went there and applied and that was it. We had the interview the same week and I got the job the same day. So that, it was it was just a job that I was looking out to change for a change before. But later I discovered, oh my, this is what I was looking for. So I work presently in the police custody.
Police
They call us
custody.
in is it yeah, we work in the police custody, which is very much different from prison nursing. A lot
Oh,
of people, yeah, a lot of people confuse it together and then they say, oh no, I can't work in the prison. Of course, this is not prison, this is police custody. So in Nigeria, we call it cell. You know, when police arrest people and put them in the cell, that's the same as when police arrest people here, they put them in the custody. They call it
so you are
custody here
working in the
because
police station.
station.
Oh, right. So
So
layman language.
exactly. So in an arm of the police station, because when people go to the police station to report someone else and that person gets arrested, they'll bring the person from the police station to us into the custody, like the cell. So, and in the cell, in the custody, they have it's like their home because they have bed, they have pillow, they have blankets, they have their toilets, and they have gym sessions where gym center where they go for gym, and it's just like a mini home, but it's not their home, of course, but it's quite better than sleeping on the floor on the bare floor like other countries do.
Hmm.
So what we do there as nurses is to maintain their right to healthcare, because as we call them detainees, not patients. So they have the right to healthcare. They
What
have the
did you
right
say
to
you call them,
to
please?
continue detainees,
Oh,
like someone that you
detainees.
detain. Yeah. So they have their right to their healthcare. They have their right to their medications that they're having before being arrested. They have the right to leave. That's the main point that we are trying to make. So if they have been unwell before, it doesn't mean that because they are arrested, then they should be deprived
Deteriorates or deprived,
the
okay?
or deprived of their right of getting their medications. So they have
Oh,
every right that everyone has outside the
oh,
police custody.
wow.
So that's the job we do. We as nurses there work to make sure that that right is upholded. And we even caution the police sometimes and remind the police that they have the right to their health.
Hmm.
So some people call us healthcare professionals because we've got nurses and paramedics and you can't call paramedics nurses. So they found a name, a broad name that will accept the
The
paramedics
safe
into the
net.
system.
Yeah.
A safe net name, so to call everyone healthcare professionals.
Wow. Right. Yes. Lovely, 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 lovely. Thank you so much. Thank you. So, when you talked about the forensic parts, if I'm not hearing from you now, all I'll be thinking about forensic is uh they go out, they take samples, blood samples, maybe if someone had been raped, they take samples from the required sites where they should have taken sample. Are those the things you do? Or it's just me not still getting it rightly or correctly?
Yeah. So we have so many roles in the police custody, which like like you do, so many other people as well. They don't really understand what we do.
I don't.
And that was the same thing that happened when I was, preparing for the interview. I struggled a lot because there wasn't much information on what we do. And that's why our association of forensic nurses and paramedics, we're trying to enlighten people on what we do. And we are trying to let some of our colleagues, we are making them interested in our job. Because most people still confuse it as prison nurses. We are not prison nurses. Now, our job is to, firstly, what we do in the police custody is we make sure that the detainees are fit to be detained.
Fit.
They are fit to be detained. Our
Fit
job
for
is to make sure that they are actually health wise, they are fit. That means they are qualified health wise to be in the custody. Now, the reason is that the police on the street, they are different from the police custodies in, the police in the custody. It's still the same police, broad name of police, but those guys on the street, they just go ahead and arrest people and bring them down to the custody to stay there. So some of them, they don't have the knowledge, or they are lazy to take patients from that street to the hospital first before bringing them down to us. Like someone you've tasered, or someone you've used taser for, that electric stuff that you use to arrest people, or someone you've beaten with your baton, or someone you've caused to have an accident while you were trying to arrest them, or someone that your dog, as the police, has beaten. Your responsibility is to take them to the hospital first to make sure they are fine before you bring them to us in the custody. But some of them don't do that. They just bring everyone, every Dick and Harry from the street, trying to put them in the custody. So that's where we come in as nurses. If the sergeants that is registering them into the custody feels that this person is not fit to be here, so their job is to ring them through to let us know that some person is here. We need you to check them if they are fit to be detained, if they will stay alive if they are in the custody. You understand? Like someone that is having hypertension, known hypertension of more than 200 systolic.
Yeah.
So we do our assessment to see, and when we see such things, or someone that is diabetic, type 1 diabetic, and is having symptoms of ketoacidosis, or someone that is got epilepsy and is drunk, you know, and is already having feet, or most likely going to have feet, or someone with head injury, someone that has been hit with an hammer or something, or an object that makes the person prone to head injury, or someone with blood visions or dizziness, or any other kind of ailment that are not safe for them to be in confined space like the custody. So we'll do our own assessment as custody nurses and let the sergeant know that they are not fit to detain. If they are not fit to detain, we will send them to hospital. And that's the job of the police, to arrange for the transport to send them to the hospital. If they can't go in the police transport, then they will have to ring an ambulance
Mm.
to
That's
send
when you
them.
come to
So
us.
yes, exactly. So we ring you guys, and then you send ambulance to us
Wow.
to be sent to the hospital. So we assess patients for fitness to detain.
Mm,
We assess patients for fitness to interview.
mm,
So apart from being fit to be detained, we as nurses need to assess some patients, not everyone in the custody, some that the police is worried about. So we assess them whether they are fit to be interviewed.
mm.
Now, what that means is, even though you are fit to be detained, does not mean you are mentally capable to attend interview. For everyone that's been arrested, the police give them opportunity because they are being accused. That's the word. Those people that were arrested, they were being accused by someone else or by the. So the system gives every detainee an opportunity to explain their own part of the story. You understand?
Yeah.
It gives them the human right to say, no, this is my own part of the story before they can be judged. You don't just charge anyone in the United Kingdom without hearing them out. You need to hear them out. So some people are not mentally capable to be heard out. They don't know how to explain what has happened. Like those with learning difficulties or learning disabilities, like the mental illness patients, or like people with previous head injuries or epilepsy,
Mm.
or drunk people that are drunk. They
They're
are
still
still in
having
drink.
hangovers.
So even if it's hangover, that's better. They are still very much drunk.
Drunk.
Still, yeah, we say they are in drink. That means they are still at that time under the influence of alcohol. So their yes might not be their yes.
Mm.
If they tell you this was the situation that happened, it might not be the correct thing
Yeah.
because their mental ability has been impaired. So our job as nurses is to assess them and see if they need an AA. What we call an AA is if they need an appropriate adult. You understand? To stay with them at the interview ground. Someone that understands what happened or someone that knows their mental history. It's not necessarily a family member. It might be someone else. It might be their carer. So we give such patients the opportunity for them to have their appropriate adults while doing the interview. And we also assess those that are mentally impaired to see, okay, this person is not fit for interview yet. Give them time. Or someone that is drunk is not fit for interview yet. Let them be sober. So we wait for them to be sober. So on everything we tell the police, they follow the instructions. So they don't give them interview yet until we say, okay, they are
They
fit
are
to be
fit.
interviewed. It's just because we want to assure everyone of their own right and to help them not to be cheated because they are mentally impaired. So we deal with fitness to detain, fitness to interview, fitness to release as well. Now, some people they are fine to the stage of being released. So when they are being interviewed, maybe the interviewer, which is the police, they know or they observe that there might be a risk when they are being released, a risk to themselves. Some people during interview they mention that they want to kill themselves during interview.
Mm.
So it's your responsibility as the police to see that they are safe to be released. Someone that said he's going to kill himself, you can't release such a person because he or she has risk of suicide.
Then self
So we
self
have to
harm.
do the of self-harm. So we have to do the assessment and talk to them, speak to them, and see if they still have that ideation or it's just because they are under stress that
Mm.
they mentioned that. So we give them time and then we do our assessment to see if they are safe to be released. So how do we do that? We check on them to see if they've got relatives that they are going home with or going home to. Like someone that's got children or someone that's got a partner that they love. So we assess them to see, okay, where are you going? If they say they are going home back to their family whom they love, that's giving us an assurance that those ones might take away the ideation from them. That risk is reduced compared to someone that is going back to live alone or going back homeless. So they are most likely going to kill themselves if they are homeless.
Mm. Mhm.
So we assess them and tell the police, well, this person is not fit to be released, or this one is fit to be released. So we do fitness to detain, fitness to interview, fitness to release. We also take forensic samples.
Mhm.
So
That was the
what?
only thing I
Yeah,
thought you guys were into when they say
no.
forensic nurses.
So when someone is being accused of assault on someone else, and then in interview they said they are the victim, even though we arrested them, they might be the victim, especially in case of domestic violence. The person you arrested might be the victim, not um the actual perpetrator. So the police have the power to request from us to do some body mappings where we check the whole body to see if there's any injuries on the body, and then we'll record those injuries. They've got different names for those injuries
Mhm.
or wounds,
Yeah.
and so we measure them, and then we record where they are on the body. So that's what the police take their inference from to see whether they have been assaulted or not. So we do body mapping, and we also take forensic samples from rape cases. If
Okay.
someone has been accused of raping someone,
Yeah.
so we take samples, we take intimate and non-intimate samples.
Mm.
Intimate samples are those of intimate parts. Like if it's in the case of the man, that would be his sexual organs. And in the case of the woman, which we rarely do these days, before we take samples from the woman as well, from the person that report the victims. But now we don't do that. We only take samples from the accused person.
Okay.
So we take intimate samples from their sexual organs. We take some part of their hair, the hair around the pubic region. We take samples from the prepuce, from the glans, from the shaft. We take samples from, if it's circumcised persons from the prepuce. If it's uncircumcised, we have to put the swab around the foreskin area and all the areas of the shaft. Take some cut some hair around the pubic area as well. All we are trying to look for is the DNA of the victim, if it can be found on that person. And we also take non-intimate samples from the hands, from the front hand, back of the hands. We take some nail clippings, we clip some of the nails out, so to see if there will be any DNA of the victim. So we take forensic samples from people that are drinking and driving as well.
Mhm.
So when someone is drunk and drove a car and had an accident, or not necessarily having an accident, maybe the police notice how that person is driving on the road, that is a bit awkward. So the police stop them, and then they do a breath test. They ask them to blow in a machine and to check the amount of alcohol that they've had. So some of them, even though they are physically drunk, evidently drunk, they still deny that they are drunk.
Mm.
Even though they've done the breath test and it's high, they still say no. And some of them are not LG enough to do those breath tests. They claim they've got asthma or something, COPD. So the police bring them to the custody for us to take their blood samples.
Mm.
So we call that OPL. That's over prescribing limit. So
Mm.
like the alcohol, there's a level of alcohol you should have in your blood before you can drive, and there's a level of cannabis or any other drugs like cocaine or heroin that you should have in your blood before you can drive. So if you have exceeded those limits, the police bring them down the of the Police Act. They bring them to the clinic for us to take their blood samples for forensic analysis.
Mm.
So we take blood samples as well from people, and we also do sudden infant death syndrome. We also
Mm.
take samples from them. So, which is why um, when people's children died, their infants in the United Kingdom, when an infant died suddenly, the infant has not been sick beforehand. It was just sick yesterday and died today. Then we'll be asked to take forensic blood from the parents.
It's going to
So
be like a coroner's case.
yeah, so even though they are still mourning their dead child, we still have to take the blood samples from them to see if they are not under influence of drugs, or if they are under influence of drugs, to see if it's linked to the death of the child.
Mm.
Because some parents do unthinkable things. Some of them sleep on their infants and lay on them till they die. Some of them assault their infants till they die. Some of
Mm.
them throw their infants out of the window. Some of them do unthinkable things. So our job is to take the blood samples to check if they've got drugs in their system. If they've got drugs in their system, then that's another step of investigations to see why the infant has died. So we do forensic analysis for that as well. So our job is just to take the samples and submit it to the police. So the police send it to the forensic analysis lab by themselves. We don't
Mm.
deal with how they are being processed.
So
So
you must
we
be
got,
skillful in getting those samples.
yeah, which is why that leads to the qualifications that you need.
Yes.
You don't have to be a mental health nurse, because for them to be able to employ paramedics, that means you have an upper hand as a nurse. But they just need you to be able to to be skillful in taking bloods. You understand? To be able to take blood samples,
Mm-hmm.
you should be skilled in assessment of people.
Mm-hmm.
Not as an expert mental health nurse, but as someone that is a nurse, that
Yeah.
can assess people's
Mm-hmm.
mental capacity. Anyone should be able to do that, to assess people's mental capacity. So you are expected to have the skill of blood taking, the skill of assessment of patients' mental health, basic ones, um, ability to notice deterioration in patients,
Yeah.
which I believe every nurse in United Kingdom knows that,
Yes.
especially from National Early Warning Score, the new score. So when you observe that the new score is dropping, or that the new score is abnormal, so they expect you as a nurse to be able to take action
Yeah.
as part of your training. So you should have vast knowledge about noticing deterioration in patients.
Yeah.
You are expected to know symptoms of ailments, ability to recognize um, deterioration apart from new score. Like someone that is type 1 diabetic, you should be able to decipher from someone who's got diabetic ketoacidosis, you know, as compared to someone that hasn't got any ketoacidosis. So you're expected as a nurse to know the signs and symptoms of acidosis, signs and symptoms of high blood pressure in someone that is, having TIA symptoms. You're expected to know when epileptic symptoms are coming up in the patient, how to manage
The
epilepsy,
prodromal stages.
be able to manage emergency situations. Like you might be called upon suddenly as someone is having fit in custody. So you should be able to think fast what to do to assist the patient that is having the fit. You might be called suddenly that someone is unresponsive in the custody. So you should be able to do your assessment. You should be able to know what to do, whether to start not repeat 15-liter oxygen, or ability to recognize emergency situations and manage them before the arrival of ambulance is one of the key skills that has been needed in this job. You don't have to be brilliant. You don't have to be overly exceptional. Just be able to manage emergency situations before the arrival of the ambulance. Or for people to be able to trust you that they've got a nurse around.
How can you be a nurse and you not be brilliant now? Uh-uh.
Well,
It's
some
Rex.
people. Not
Okay.
everyone is brilliant.
We are this.
So you're expected to, and you are expected to be firm as well. You need to be firm, and you can only be firm when you have knowledge of what you are doing. When someone asks you something and you say no, your no is your no, and you know that no is evidence based.
Hmm.
You understand? You're not just saying no out of being fidgety or being confused. You know what you are saying that is no. So you have to stand on that ground. Even if the inspector comes to you and say this, that, you already told them no. Your no is no.
Hmm.
So, and fortunately, most of the police are sensible. They only do what you tell them. They don't ask you why. So once you tell them, well, it's not fit to be
Because it's
detained.
your area. You should be an authority
Yeah,
in
once
your
you,
area.
yeah. So yeah, some people are not firm. So it's not good for them because they've been tossed left and right. So you need to be firm in your decision,
Hmm.
which is why you need to make up your mind before going to the police to tell them to hand over. You need to have make up your mind that, oh, this is my decision and that's it. So once you tell them that this person needs to go to the hospital, in most cases they don't argue. You understand? But you can't say everyone is the same. Some of them might want to know why. So you tell them the reason. Well,
Hmm.
this is the symptoms they are showing, and that's the symptoms of head injury. I can't have any injury in my custody. You understand? You already told them that. So once they see the tone in which you used to talk to them, instant they will have to transfer the patients
Hmm.
from the custody.
Hmm.
So you need to know what you are saying as well before you go to the police to hand over.
Hmm.
And then some of the police as well, they come to you with questions. They want to know about their own health, not about the detainees, about their own personal health. So you can give them advice as well.
Hmm. Big job, Chief. Big job you are doing there. Very, very commendable. And you broke everything down quite brilliantly and calmly enough that I doubt I will have to. I should have questions, but then I will definitely have questions. Thank you so much. No special training required. Just be a nurse, be in the acute unit, and know what you are doing. Be fair and
Yes.
be there. Full ground, like say you full ground, gidigba like
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Like, yeah. So because they will keep asking you questions, they will keep coming to you that this person is it fit to be detained. They just want your yes. There you are just like you are valued. That's the difference between that place and the hospital.
Hmm.
Because they have very limited number of you as nurses, so they give you your regard, yes or no.
Yeah.
They are waiting for you to say, oh, send them to hospital. They are waiting for you to say, no, I'm not worried about that one. It's only pretending. Because some of the detainees, they pretend to be dying, they pretend to be unconscious.
And you,
And
you
you as a nurse,
and you check the vital signs and you
yeah,
can.
when you go there, you check the observation, the vital signs, everything is fine. Someone that said is dying is having SATs of 100. Someone that is dying is having normal pulse. There's no tachycardia, there's no bradycardia, there's no cyanosis, there's no jaundice, and you say you've got heart problem and liver problem. You say you've got bladder cancer, but you're not having hematuria. You never had hematuria, and you're having bladder cancer. You don't even know the name of your consultants in the cancer unit. So how can you have bladder cancer? And she said, third stage of bladder cancer. You can't be in the third stage of bladder cancer and not know the name of your consultant. And then or your clinic will not even have any record of you. So as a nurse, that's what we do to know who is pretending, who is lying about their condition, or who is saying the truth. 90% of them have a condition. They will tell you they've got a condition where you can't find it on their record.
Mm.
Majority of them have heart problems. Majority of them are claustrophobic. Majority of them are unwell. They are unwell, but they go about committing crimes. They are unwell, they go about beating people. They are unwell, they go about driving drunk.
Mm.
So your job as a nurse is to say, no, guy, you are not unwell, you are fine. And
Thank
then
you.
if they
So,
start arguing with you, that takes me to the safety. If they start arguing with you and you are uncomfortable with them in the medical room, there's all around the medical room there's alarm where you can put your hand on them, and then everyone is alerted and they rush inside the medical room to come and take you out,
mm,
or to come and take the patient out. So a lot of people don't know that even though you're dealing with supposedly crazy people, majority of them crazy people, but it's even safer to work in the police custody than working in the hospital.
mm,
Yes, when I was in the hospital, um, someone that they claim is got confusion. Well, she's actually got confusion, acute confusion from UTI. You know, she scratched my skin with her fingernails, even though she apologized after 3 days. But there's nothing I could do in the hospital because she's confused. You understand?
yeah.
And my safety is not guaranteed in the hospital. Even though you ring the security, they will tell you. The first question they will ask you is, "Are they agitated?" I'm ringing you to tell you that someone is dangerous. You're still asking me if they're agitated. You're asking me if they've got doors in place. So while asking those questions, I'm already dead from the patient's attack. And before they even come down from their post to the ward to save me. So, and then some of your colleagues, they will have run away for their own life as well
Mm,
in the hospital setting. And the patients, they've got rights more than you as a staff in the hospital. So when I tell some people when I was getting this job that I'm going to the police custody, they were looking like, "Oh, you're going to a dangerous setting." I said, "Well, at least it's a dangerous setting, but they've got people around, they've got the police around, you know, to to save me immediately, not asking me if they've got doors in place because you're you're already in the custody, so you've got doors in place definitely for you to be in the custody. So you haven't got any. You're already deprived of your liberty, so you don't want to
mm,
ask any question as, oh, has he got doors in place? Is he got dementia? Has he got this?
mm. That's serious.
So in the custody, there's alarm everywhere, everywhere in the cell, everywhere in the passage, at the desk, in the medical room, where you can ask for help immediately. And you need to see how these police guys, you need to see how they handle criminals. You need to see how they bring huge guys. You need to see how they bring them down to the floor. It's within seconds. So that gives you the confidence that, oh no, you're safe here. So
Thank you so much, Safety. You've touched base with many, many, many things and saved me a whole lot of asking and asking and asking. You are quite adept with your skills. I want to appreciate you for being that. What's your nurse patient ratio?
right. So we've got different custodies. So different suites. We call it suites. SUITES. So we've got different suites. We've got some places they've got limited numbers of
Mm-hmm.
rooms or limited number of cells. Some they've got just 30, some they've got just 15, some they've got 50. So, and in most cases, it's two nurses on shift. except when you have cases of sickness, staff sickness, when there's no one to replace them. But in most cases, in custodies with 50 cells, you have two nurses in most cases. So you'll be surprised that those two nurses are enough for the 50 cells, because not all of them are sick, not all of them are unwell at the same time. Not all of them need your input. You only deal with those that need you. So for the fact that there are 50 inmates at that time, not all of them are in need of medical
Input.
input. So in most custody suites, they have two nurses, and in some custody suites, they have only one nurse because they are not really busy. They don't take too many inmates, you know. So
Thank
on
you.
average, or in most cases, there's two nurses to 50 cells. Not all the time do you have 50 patients in there. You understand? So sometimes you only have 30 inmates and the 20 rooms are free. Sometimes you have 40. Sometimes on weekends, it's busy on weekends because that's when people commit crimes,
Hmm.
a lot, especially Friday nights. And over the weekend, because they can't go to court over the weekend.
Sorry, go and kiss daddy. Go and kiss daddy. Go and kiss daddy. Go and kiss daddy. Go and hug daddy and come back. Go and hug daddy, darling. Go and hug daddy. See Papa. See Papa. See Papa. Gifty. Gift. Gift. Oh, yeah, go to daddy. Go and hug daddy. Go and hug daddy. Thank you so much, my chief. They want to show face. Your face show your shoe shine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I caught that. So it's not
Okay.
about the number of cells or about the number of are they inmates or what? They are not your inmates, detainees. Yeah.
Detainees, yeah.
So not about them, it's about the number you have versus maybe possibility of those who are unwell.
Unwell, yes.
Thank you so much. What's the shift pattern? What's the shift pattern? Do you take agencies and all that?
Yeah, the shift pattern is 12 hours shift,
Oh.
45 minutes break. But even though they said it's 45, depend on the custody. Majority of the time you're on break. And that's why this job is better than the hospital, because even though they request you to see someone, it's not an emergency. They're asking you to see if they are fit for interview. They're asking you to see um them for pain relief. They're asking you to see them for uh, non-emergency things. Some of them say, oh, they want to speak to the nurse, and they don't tell them why. They just say, oh, I just need to speak to the nurse, without telling you the reason why they need to speak to you. You know, things like that. You can take your time to read their record first, before you go to see them. Or if you're having your tea at that time, you can finish your tea. You can finish your breakfast before you say, oh yes, okay, I'm ready to go and see them. It's not like the hospital where they tell you the patient in bay 5 wants to see you. You whatever you are doing, you just leave it and rush down there in the
Mm,
hospital.
mm,
But here, yeah, you can take your time, finish your tea, look at their records, check who's been arrested, look at their history just to know what you are looking at. So majority of the time you are sitting down doing all this. So you are on break, which means the 45 minutes break is just for something that maybe to sleep or to go outside to have your cigarette or something if you are smoking, you know. So it's 12-hour shift with 45 minutes break officially.
okay. Yeah. Thank you
And
so
then it's
much.
days
Mhm.
and nights. It's days and nights. So which means you can it depends on your manager. You can request to be on permanent nights or permanent days. And if they don't grant you that, some of your colleagues they like what you don't like. Like if you don't like night shifts, you can swap with someone that don't like day shifts.
Mhm.
Is allowed. So all
Just
you need to do
ensuring
is
the
to
detainees are safe. Safety is
that's
just it.
it. Yeah. All you
And
need
the
to do is
moment they
just
can
to
trust your judgment, it won't be difficult for them to swap their shifts with you.
that's it.
Thank you
That's
so
it.
much.
So you just
Thank you. So, what are the rooms for growth? What are the manager staff relationships that you guys have there? It seems you guys are having everything good, going good.
to be fair, everything is better because you are working as a lone worker, which
Okay.
is very important for you to know before you apply for this job. You are working as a lone worker, and the lone worker policy applies to you, which means you are making the decisions yourself. You don't have to ask any doctor like you do in the hospital. You don't have to ask anyone. If you feel that's the right decision you are making, you are responsible for your decision. It doesn't have to be the right decision all the time, but being able to have evidence or explanation for your decision, that's the only thing you need, which you document. So you don't have anyone overseeing what you're doing. You don't have anyone looking at what you've written down or what you've said. Your manager is not even there. You might not even see your manager for 7 months. So you are making the decisions for yourself and yourself alone. You have the right to ring people, to discuss with people over the phone, to speak with doctors over the phone if you are not comfortable or if you want to share the risk. But you don't have to if you don't have to.
Hmm.
So your manager to staff relationship is very interesting because you are not seeing each other. You are not under any pressure that the manager is coming.
Ogambo.
You are not under a gamble. It doesn't work here. So yeah,
Gambo tí ó
they
pọ̀
would even
mọṣẹ́.
they would have sent you an email to let you know that I'm coming to your station tomorrow. They don't just bang in and come in like that. So you are free. When you don't have someone looking over your head, like over your shoulder,
Yeah,
like that.
you can think on your
So,
feet and say, yeah, I
so
made
you
that
can
decision.
exactly. So the
Autonomy.
manager autonomy. There's autonomy. Yes, that's the word. So the manager to staff relationship is interesting because you are not seeing each other. You only speak over email or over the phone, and they don't interfere with your decisions. They don't interfere with your decisions. They don't interfere into eh, who you swap your shit with. They don't interfere with what you are drinking or eating on shift. They don't say why are you pressing your phone on shift. No one is there to ask you why are you wearing this shoe to work or why are you wearing your watch, your Apple Watch. No one is looking at all those flimsy, silly points. Or like in the hospital, no one is saying, "Oh, it's not saying hi to me." No one is saying. So the relationship is fine,
No
which I
more
believe is
pettiness.
no, no, all those ones, no, no. So it's interesting because the managers don't interfere into what we do as nurses in the custody.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, saying that, it does means it seems you don't have so many managers. How then do you grow in this sort of profession?
Good. You'll be surprised. We've got lots of growth opportunity, far more than hospital. Because while I was there, I approached my manager to tell them, okay, I need this job, this master's program for specifically for my department, then urology.
Mm,
I even told them that I will sponsor myself. You understand? I'm not asking you to pay. They said no, we haven't got the staffing.
yeah.
Okay. I went there to tell them, okay, would you sponsor me? And then do the roster. They said, no, we don't have the finance. So it's two things. Is that they don't have the finance or they don't have the resources in the hospital, which means you are not moving forward from band five that you are.
Hmm.
So with this job, you are a band six nurse. So that's the first line of development.
Yeah.
You are a band six nurse, straightforward. You've got enhancement, unlike in the hospital where band six don't have enhancement. So you've got your night shift enhancement, you've got your weekends enhancement. Yeah. Now, if you go online and say, oh, you've seen a course that you want to do, like the acute illnesses, training, or what do you call it? This minor injuries and illnesses, non-medical prescribing courses, and some what do you call it? Advanced nurse practitioners. So we have different courses that they sponsor people for, people that have been there before us. And before I start this job, they promised that, or it was part of the interview, that you'll be trained to be a non-medical prescriber.
Hmm.
So I don't think there's any other advancement that is more than that. Being a non-medical prescriber, being sponsored by the trust, which is a stepping stone to becoming an advanced nurse practitioner, if you want,
Mhm.
eventually. So you can also be a minor injury nurse, which qualifies you to work in urgent care settings later if you change your job. I find that fascinating. To me, is
It is.
interesting.
Yeah.
So, and I've seen life. What do you call it? It's not that they say. It's not that they promise. This year alone, they've got 15 people that they are training to be a non-medical prescriber.
15.
So, and they've all got mentors as well. So that gives you
Please
hope.
give us job links. We have to flood. We just need to flood that place.
Yeah, so that gives you hope that by January, when they when they take in new applications, if you apply, they can say, yeah, and it doesn't matter how many years you've worked with them. So now, if even if you are not being employed by my trust, other trusts are doing it as well, like the Met Police. They've started the non-medical prescribing courses as well.
Hmm.
So this year alone, they've trained 10 people, 10 nurses, and they're even increasing their budgets for next year. So it's spreading across the custody suites to train people to be non-medical prescribers, because they are trying to phase out the FMEs, that's the forensic medical examiners, the doctors, because those guys are expensive to manage. Their salary is expensive, so they are trying to cut down the cost by training nurses to be effective in prescribing medications as well. Nurses and paramedics have been trained to be, you know.
Nice. Great, great. I will not go to that question now. I guess I will retain that question for Kate Mimi because she's coming to me to talk on contemporary issues in nursing. So I
All
will,
right.
yes, I will retain that for her to ask her a few questions on how safe we feel those things are if the medics are phased out and we pushed into them. Looking at the UK nurses were not pharmacologically trained.
Trained. Yeah.
I knew we
Yeah.
brought that argument, and I mean, some people brought that argument, and we're looking at it like, why should they do that? I believe I led the team that were shouting that.
Yeah,
But
that was the challenge.
definitely, I
That
knew
was the
there.
challenge.
Yeah,
That was the challenge that the Met Police faced, the custody nurses. Because one of those doctors said, no, they are not qualified to be non-medical
and that's the way
prescribers.
they train their UK
And
nurses. If you're
yeah,
coming
and
from
then
Africa, right from School of Nursing, go to the uni.
oh
You have a wealth
Yeah.
of training in pharmacology, and your
Pharmacology.
Mustafa will
Yeah.
be rolling everywhere. And by the time you went to the
Yeah.
unit too, and you started all your pharmacological trainings, and you know all those the links, the biochemistry of this and this and that, then you will not be at a loss when you are learning
Yeah.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Thank
the
you.
nurse told them that well, it's in the constitution of something 1999 or something that the nurses can prescribe. So, but what I believe is, I think in the non-medical prescribing course, I think they train them or they teach them more of pharmacology there. I think that's what they do
Sensible.
for the nurses. Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think that's why it's safe for them to prescribe
Oh, thank you so
because
much, Rex.
yeah,
Thank you so much. Everything
you're
sounds so
welcome.
interesting to me. So interesting. But I'm just looking at this. Upon everything we do, this thing is important.
Yes.
If it's not, oh, I can't talk.
Manifest.
Yes. So, how is it? How is it? How is it with you guys? How rewarding, financially beneficial is this role? Is it just the same emolument? You work nights? Is it about the extra you get when you work nights and all those things that are there? They are just like the regular NHS things, or are there
Wow,
other ways of making money?
thank you. Um, unlike other hospitals, band six. First of all, the job is band six job, which is different from band five. So there's no way you can glorify band five. There's no way you can explain it. It's not the same as band six. You
Okay,
understand?
sir. All right.
Financially,
All right, sir.
it's definitely not the same thing. It's band five. You know, you understand the highest in band five. If you are doing your normal shift, apart from enhancement, is not more than 35 or something thousand. And band six starts from 35,000 pounds for agenda for change upward. You understand? Which means the more you progress, maybe every 3 years, depending on your trust, the more you know the salary.
Hmm.
So it's starting from band six. So and the difference between this band six to hospitals band six is because this band six in this job or in this trust, they get enhancements. So they get night shift enhancements, they get weekends enhancements, like every other band five we get. In most hospitals or most departments, once you're band six, your enhancement stops. That's why people don't take band six jobs in the hospitals. Some of them they are unable to do nights anymore once they are band six. But here you can in my trust or in this job, you can do night shifts, you can do day shifts, you can get enhancement for your nights, you can get enhancement for your weekends. And they pay for mileage in this job.
Mileage.
Yeah, they pay for mileage. So every time you go, because we go to hospitals as well to take samples in the hospital. So every time you leave your base to the hospital or to anywhere else apart from your base, you are being paid your mileage.
Hmm.
So, for example, you're based in Sheffield and you are being asked to go and work in Barnsley or Rotherham or Chesterfield or somewhere else, where you are eager to go or you're happy to go because you know that they will pay for that mileage. You are not just going for Christ's sake. You are going because you know they will pay for the mileage. So when you pick up bank shifts as well in other custody suites, you understand, even if it's 2 hours drive, you are happy because they will pay for the mileage.
Hmm. Thank you.
So you can go anywhere you see a bank shift and pick up the shifts because you know they will pay for that. So it's easy for you to do bank shift in any of the custody suites.
Mm.
It's easy for you to do the extra shift, and then they will pay for the mileage for that. You get the bank payment as well for that. So there's opportunity for bank shifts, which they pay as band six as well. So they pay for the bank shift as band six. They pay for your mileage, and you get band six salary, and you get enhancements for weekend and night shifts.
Thank you.
So by the time you do all that together, after tax, sometimes it's average of it depends on the shift you do as well. So yeah, so the mileage sometimes goes as much. I mean, sometimes £300 a month, sometimes £400.
For the mileage alone.
Yeah, for the mileage alone, especially when you go to far places.
Please, when will
When
you have positions?
so when you go to far places, and the advantage of going to far places is you will take travel time as well. Travel time means if you spend 20 minutes to go to your base, like for me, my home to my base is just 15 minutes drive.
Mm.
So if I'm going to another suite and it takes me 2 hours to drive there, so if I'm supposed to resume my job at 7, I will leave home the same time I will leave home when I'm going to my base. You understand? So if I'm leaving home when I'm going to my base at 6:20 p.m., so I'll leave home at that 6:20 p.m. and get to wherever I get to at that time. So say 8:20 or something if it's 2 hours drive. So that's 8:20 p.m. Even though the job has started at 7. So when I'm finishing in the morning as well, I will leave at maybe 5 in the morning, 5 a.m. when I'm supposed to close at 7. So I will leave at 5 a.m. and get home the same time that I will get home if I'm going to my base.
Good
So
God.
you get your travel time to and
Mm.
fro. You get your mileage as well.
So it's
So
a
you don't
case of
bother
àwọn
anybody.
kan wáyé wá jayé, àwọn kan wáyé wá pawó. You
Uh,
guys are the Yahoo, Yahoo nurses in the
Yahoo.
UK.
Uh,
Oh
yeah,
my
so
good God.
they've got they've got good remuneration or what they call it. Yeah.
Remunerations. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Very attractive. Very, very, very
Yes.
attractive. But then, if I want to come into this job, and like you applied within a week and got the job within a week and all that, how soon would I be able to start?
So the difference between this job and other jobs is you have to be 3 years. You have to have been in the UK for 3 years. And the reason is because they will go back and check your credit history. You mustn't be in massive debt because they don't want people to coerce you to do something that is wrong because you are in debt. You understand? They don't want people to push you to do the wrong thing because you are indebted to them.
Hmm.
So they will check your credit history to see your credit file, and they will go to check your police record as well. Apart from DBS, they do their own vetting.
Hmm.
So the police check you, and they can't do that if you are not 3 years. So they check your 3 years history. If you have been an ex-convict, they want to know. They want to know why you were being convicted. They want to know
If you've served the
because
time.
if you serve the time, so and it depends on even if you serve the time, it depends on your conviction. If you've committed rape, then they would never employ you
Hmm.
because rape is unforgiving. It's different from maybe something like assault or you know. So what they do is they go and do your vetting to check your police record if you haven't got any record, any negative record. They ask about your family history as well. They ask about your brother name, your sister's name, your wife's name, your father's name, your grandfather's name. So that if you are not ready to give out those information, then this job is not for you.
Hmm.
You should be ready to be open minded and let them go ahead and do their vetting. So the vetting is what takes time. Sometimes it takes 6 weeks. Sometimes it takes 2 months. But that doesn't stop you from starting anyway. If they check your credit history and see that, oh, it's fine, so they can give you concession while they are doing the vetting. Then you can still go ahead with your application. And then the other thing that is going to that delays most people is the certificate of sponsorship from the employer. So it depends on the availability as well. But you apply for visa before you now resign your job, which is you have to give 8 weeks notice. You understand? So I'll just say about um I'll just say about 4 months, 3 to 4 months
Thank you very much.
before you before you are able to start fully.
It's been all interesting through it all. Thank you so much, Rex, Mr. Dick, and I
You're
wish
welcome.
you all the very best. I believe the people at home will be able to make their decisions. And I'm not sure whether there are places, do you know places, are these jobs readily available or they are in
Yeah.
just some
So
places?
yeah, so depend on your location in North Yorkshire, South Yorkshire, and West Yorkshire. If you're in this region, then these custody suits are being controlled or overseen by the Leeds Community Healthcare Services NHS Trust. So it's Leeds that is controlling all the regions of Yorkshire. If you are in Derbyshire, Northampton, Nottinghamshire, or West Midlands, most of them are being controlled, unfortunately, by the private sector, which they are doing well as well, even though they are private, because NHS is starting their salary from 35,000. Um, the private starts from 42,500. Most of them, yeah, most of them start with 42,500 for a full-time staff.
Hmm,
So, so it depends on the region that you are. If you are in London, I think you apply to the Met Police or something. So it depends on the region that you are. That's what determines. But in the Yorkshire region, it's been overseen by the NHS Trust. So if you can cope with the private sector, which I would not say you shouldn't try, because that the pay is different from NHS, as you know.
very,
So
very. 7,000
and then
difference. That's big.
yeah, and then yeah, recently in our last conference of Union Kingdom Association of Forensic Nurses, the last conference we had, that was when I discovered that there are a lot of agencies as well
Hmm,
that that take staff for bank shift as well, or for agency shifts.
okay.
You don't have to be full-time staff. Yes, there are a lot of them. Like the A Mighty, they call them Mighty, like MITIE. So that's one of the leading private sector employer. There's G4S. So that was when I knew that G4S is not only for security jobs, they do healthcare as well. G4, or like four letter digit four, G4S. And there's LAC, there's LAK, LAC. So they also deal with forensic nurses agency shifts. So there's CRG as well. I think is it CRG or HRG? So they deal with agency shifts. They're all over the country. So it's not all of them that are NHS. So just letting you know. But
Hmm.
if you are lucky to be in the region of this Yorkshire side, yeah, you can work with the NHS.
Thank you so much, my chief. I really, really appreciate you. I believe people watching will be able to make up their mind if there's something they want to look into. And just before you go, do you take both males and females nurses or just male nurses?
Yeah. So as you know about the NHS, there's no discrimination about your there's no discrimination about your nationality. There's no discrimination about your disability. As long as you have the qualification, you have to be a nurse or a paramedic. You have to have the skill set, you understand, to take blood samples. You have to have the skill set to understand when patients are deteriorating. So, irrespective of who you are, if you're able to meet up those standards, they won't tell you no. So, whether male or female, transgender, no one cares.
Thank you. I really, really appreciate. So people at home, this is something you should consider. Thank you so much, Mr. Day. And hopefully, if we have questions, you'll be able to help
Yeah,
us answer, because I'm sure there will be people that will have questions on how to join this organization. And if we need further
yes,
information, hopefully, you'll be happy to engage us or engage with us once more so that we learn more about your area. But we appreciate you so much for your
anytime.
time. Thank you so much, and do have very
You're welcome.
beautiful day and working time too. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.